Hey, what's up you guys, it's Connor, and today I'm going to be continuing my 2020 reading wrap-up with books 16 through 20. If you guys don't know, these are the videos where I do miniature reviews of all the most recent books that I've read, so I don't go fully in depth into any one. If I've done an individual review for a book, I'll leave it up in the card symbol. If you want an individual review for any of these, let me know, but let's get started. The 16th book that I read in 2020 is Wonder Woman Warbringer by Leigh Bardugo. This is a novel that's based off of the DC character of Wonder Woman, who is an Amazon. If you don't know, her real name is Diana. In this book, she's actually a teenager, and she leaves the Themyscira for the first time. Basically, she's on a mission to save the world, and you follow her as she's doing that. It also follows a character named Aaliyah, and at some point, Diana and Aaliyah team up, and then it's them going around trying to save the world. I had some trepidation going into this because I wasn't sure how I would feel about it or not. I heard from other people that they didn't like this as much as they thought they were going to because it didn't follow Wonder Woman as much. But when I was reading it, I didn't have that opinion. Like, I feel like this does follow Wonder Woman a lot. I really enjoyed Aaliyah being a character in this because she brings some realness to this book. If you're following Wonder Woman, she is super, super powerful and she can do whatever she wants to do, but Aaliyah is not super powerful, so it was nice to see her struggling through these different things that they're having to go through because she doesn't have super strength and she's not bulletproof. I really enjoyed the way that the action scenes in this were written. I definitely was able to follow everything that was happening. I didn't get confused at any points, so it was really easy to read. In some books, it is hard to follow battle scenes. This one, I didn't have any problems. I liked the dynamic between Aaliyah and Diana because Diana doesn't know everything that's going on. Like, she hasn't been a part of the real world ever in her entire life. It was fun to see Aaliyah having to teach Diana things and like explain that racism is still a thing. Diana didn't know and thought that it had been over and that racism wasn't a thing, and Aaliyah demonstrates that it is still happening. I think that's something that's touched on quite a bit in this book, is how Aaliyah is treated because of the color of her skin and how Diana is basically appalled by that. So liked that message. The one thing about this that I did not like was I hated the ending of this book. I don't want to spoil anything, but I wish that the ending had been different. Like, I liked how things were going and then something happens where it's just so convenient, and I really disliked that. But everything else I really enjoyed. I ended up giving this book 4 stars. I definitely recommend it. I don't know if I'm going to continue and read any of the other DC YA novels that have come out. I think it's Batman and Catwoman, I believe, and there might be another one because I'm not as interested in those, but I really enjoyed this one, so if you're curious about it, definitely give it a go. The 17th thing that I read in 2020 is What I Leave Behind by Allison McGee. This one follows a boy named Will. His father has recently died by suicide, and so he is trying to process all of those feelings and thoughts that happen after that. I think one of the things that is interesting about this book is that it has 100 chapters, and I believe that it has 100 words in each chapter. So it is a very, very quick read. It only took me like an afternoon to read it. I didn't end up really enjoying this that much. I think that the 100 words and 100 chapters restriction stunted this novel quite a bit. I think that if that restriction hadn't been there, then the story could have developed a lot deeper, because what I think that this book does was it takes too many topics that require a lot of attention and tried to mush them all into one book. There is obviously Will's father who died by suicide. His best friend had been raped by multiple people or something like that, and so a lot of these big heavy topics were not given enough space or enough time to get into those things. I don't want this to sound overly critical, but it felt like this was a creative writing like prompt, and then it actually got published. Like, it's one of those things that I would expect to find in a prompt book or something like that, just to get your creative juices flowing. And I felt like this could have used a lot more space, a lot more words to tell the story, because I didn't really get invested in any of the characters, especially, I mean, like, I wasn't even invested in Will because I didn't really get to have that much time or space with the character. So I ended up giving this book 2 stars. It was okay. I probably will never reread it, but I'm glad that I read it one time. I then read A Duke by Default by Alyssa Cole. This is the second book in the Reluctant Royals series. This is a romance series. And I am shocked that I continued so quickly after reading the first book. The first book was the House Salt Book Club pick for February. In this series, each book follows a different person. In the first book, we follow a character who's an epidemiologist, which was weird timing because now we're all having to stay home because of this virus. An epidemiologist is someone that studies infectious diseases. In this one, we follow her best friend, Portia, and at the beginning of the book, Portia has decided that she is going to go to Scotland and learn how to make swords. She has a very wealthy family, so she is able to try a lot of different things, and she has a lot of different opportunities to go to different places, and, you know, not many people can just go to Scotland for a swordsman apprenticeship, but she does. When she gets to Scotland, she finds out that the sword master guy that's supposed to teach her how to make swords is named Tavish, and he's a bit of a curmudgeon, I guess, is the word that I'm trying to think of. And then it just follows Portia as she's living in Scotland. She's trying to help this swordsman keep his business afloat, as well as processing certain feelings that she has about herself, as well as her feelings about her sister. I ended up enjoying this book quite a bit. I listened to the audiobook. I will say that the audiobook narrator, I don't remember her name, but for the first book, it's amazing because she does all the accents great. In this book, she has to try to do a Scottish accent, and she's not particularly good at Scottish accents, so it was kind of a weird reading experience because I was focused just on the narrator trying to speak in a Scottish accent. So obviously that's not the best thing because I was getting pulled out of the story, but I really liked the exploration of sibling competition in here. It definitely reminded me of Tahani from The Good Place, because the competition between Tahani and her sister is very similar to the one between Portia and her sister Reggie. It all stems from their parents almost pitting the sisters against each other. I just thought it was really well done. I also enjoyed just seeing her interact with all the different people and start to grow her confidence in herself and what she wants to do going forward. I do think that Tav's brother and his sister-in-law could have used a little more development. They interact with each other all the time, but it seemed like his brother and his sister-in-law were just there to call him an arse like every time they come up on the page, which I understand because siblings will keep each other accountable and stuff like that, but I definitely think that we could have used a little bit more time with them. But this is a romance book, so it's all about Portia and Tav and eventually them falling in love and, you know, doing the deed. So I enjoyed it for that. I ended up giving this book like 3.5 stars. I think that I enjoyed the first book a little bit more, but I will probably continue, let's be real. I then read Grayson Volume 1 by Tim Seeley. I have read all of the volumes previous to Grayson, so it starts off with Nightwing, and then Grayson happens because of the ending of the Nightwing run of the New 52. I'm still reading New 52 comics. In this one, Grayson has become like a spy agent. It just follows him as he's a part of this spy group. And so he's adjusting to this new style of living. Instead of running around in his Nightwing costume, he's now having to be an agent and interact with other people and be on a team. I didn't really have any strong feelings about this. I think that the art style is fine. I think that the coloring was good, but I wasn't really invested in what he was doing, and I just didn't really care all that much. I enjoyed it, so I ended up giving it 3 stars, but I'm not sure if I want to continue with the Grayson series or not. Let me know if any of you guys have read it, and if it gets better, then maybe I'll give it a go. And the last book I'm going to talk about in this video, the 20th thing that I read in 2020, is Revenge of the Witch by Joseph Delaney. I think that this book has other names in other countries. I think it's also called The Spook's Apprentice or something like that. This is an older middle grade novel that actually had a movie adaptation made of it. It's called The Seventh Son. I've seen that movie when it first came out, whenever that was. This book has been on my radar for quite a while. I borrowed it from the library, so I listened to the audiobook, and I think that the audiobook was well done. I had a fun time while reading it. It follows a character named Tom. He's the 7th son of a 7th son, and so he is one of the few people that is able to become an apprentice for a spook. And spooks are people that go around and protect everyone, especially from magical beings, so they protect people from witches and ghosts and stuff like that as well. The spook that Tom ends up apprenticing with is called Gregory, and it's weird because spooks are necessary and used quite a bit. People request their help, but people also don't like them because weird stuff happens around them and they attract these creatures that attack people. So having them around is both a good thing and potentially a bad thing. And so you just follow Tom at the beginning of his apprenticeship. He's starting to learn some of the rules and starting to learn how to deal with these different supernatural beings. I really liked some of the messages in here, like following your instincts and giving people the benefit of the doubt until something changes and you have a reason to not give someone the benefit of the doubt. I really liked some of the side characters in here as well. I think that this does a good job of setting up the foundation for what I think is a quite lengthy series. I plan to continue and see what happens with Tom and old Gregory next. I enjoyed this. I ended up giving it 3.5 stars. It's a really quick, fun read, and I think that a lot of middle grade readers would enjoy it. There's a character in here who is a witch, and you don't know if she's going to be good or not. I'm excited to see Tom interact with her throughout the series. So those are the next 5 things that I read in 2020. If you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up and comment down below what you've been reading. I hope you're still doing well. I hope you're still safe. If you've read that series by Joseph Delaney, let me know how the rest of the series goes. Don't spoil me, but let me know if you liked it. Anything else you want me to know, leave it down below, and I will talk to you guys next time.